right, welcome to another edition of the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. Robbie Rhodes and Mark Willoughby coming with you here tonight. Our special guest brought to you by Gateway Sport this week is Southeastern Head Football Coach Frank Scelfo. Coach, boy, it's good to have you on the show tonight. I've been meaning to get you on. It's been a busy fall for your team, and then you get right into this recruiting. It just seems to never end. Thanks for being with us tonight.
I appreciate it, Robbie. Y'all doing a good job with this thing, man. It's good to be on. Y'all have had a lot of good guests. I know that. It's opened up some eyes for me.
Yeah, we're trying to just get the word out there to people, and we've had. I think we've been kind of shocked on the feedback on how good it's been. So we appreciate you saying that a lot, Coach. You come off of a season that I know you feel like you left some out there, but a lot of close games that you just kind of seem to have miss out on one or two plays to win those games. But I thought just the way the team finished the season was really impressive. I know you've said it a bunch, but just again, your takeaway from the 2023 season when it's all said and done.
Yeah. It was a season of missed opportunities. I feel like we had chances the entire season, and even the South Alabama game. Mississippi State really wasn't as close as we weren't. I didn't think we were going to win that game as the game went on, but South Alabama, I thought we had an opportunity there, and then the rest of the FCS games, I thought we were in every game and never looked up and said this game's out of hand, we can't win, and having the ball in the fourth quarter, either to score to win or making a stop, we just didn't get it done. And just a lot of inconsistencies. And that falls back on me. And I know that. But we're looking at some things. We're doing some stuff and, going back and just evaluating everything. Personnel, organization, preparation, whatever you can do. We're going to be doing that over these next few months before we get ready for spring ball.
I think one of the things that stands out to me, people ask, man, this was, what happened to this team? Why couldn't they just get over that hump? I tell people all the time, because I did it. I said, just go to YouTube and you could do them all, but just YouTube Nicholls 2022 football game, Idaho 22 football game, and the Sanford 22 football game. And just, especially on offense, just look and see how many guys that you forgot about that are not here anymore, whether it be graduation or the portal in some cases. It's hard to replace that many key guys that the team relied on offensively. That had to be a challenge. You have guys that you feel like are ready and they're young guys. And it's harder to be ready when you're a freshman or sophomore, when you're called upon just like that, it seems like.
Well, you don't get the consistency that you would get out of a more experienced or even a mature player. I think what kind of caught us, and it falls on me, is we lost 9 sophomores last year to the portal. And when you start filling gaps in the recruiting process as you go through it, you're looking to replace juniors. So when you look at your roster, you look at every junior, not the seniors, but the juniors, and say, when these juniors get to be seen, we have to find guys to replace them in 2 years. So that's what your recruiting class looks like. You're looking to replace the junior class so that when they get to be seniors, those are freshmen. The seniors graduate now, and now they're either redshirt freshmen or sophomores, and they've got some experience. So you're not going in there with just a brand new face. Well, we got hit with the sophomore class, and we did not have an answer for those guys going into December with the high school recruiting and JUCO recruiting, and we were having to make up some ground in the spring. And again, it falls on me. I think it's a lesson well learned from the portal about how we need to evaluate what we're looking to do and who we're looking to basically sign to fill those positions. And, so when you lose 9 spots, those are 9 guys that, 6 went to the FBS and are starting.
Yeah.
So those are guys that were, those are good players for us. But I didn't recruit guys to fill those spots 2 years ago. And now I think we're staying. We'll be able to stay ahead of the curve now. But that's a mistake that I made in the roster management. It was the second year of the portal. We really didn't see that the year before, and then we got hit with that one.
Yeah, I think you really can't put. I know you will, because that's the kind of guy you are. You take responsibility, but I don't think that's something you could put a lot of blame on yourself for. That's just something that's so unforeseen on how that all was going to go, and it's kind of unprecedented for any coach to have to deal with what you had to deal with last year with key players going off and starting for FBS programs. You saw it all the time, and And I think that's just a testimony to the recruiting you guys did going back to years previously, recruiting good young players to come here to make a difference. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, to me, this season was an anomaly. Obviously, guys, you came here. I think the first year's 4-7. You go 4-7 to 8-5 into the playoffs. So you saw that jump immediately, and you follow that up with a conference championship, 3 playoff appearances, really 4 if you count the COVID
Right.
year, because that was like a playoff season playing Southern Illinois. But when you look at the FCS playoffs, see a team like Albany in the semifinals. They're coming off a 3-8 year last year. Does that give you? I know you can. We'll talk about recruiting here in a moment, but you can turn this thing around quickly, can't you?
Well, you can, Mark, and I think you gotta again, you got to be careful. To overload yourself with too many transfers that have a chance to taint maybe the culture that you have. I think, talking to some guys in the conference, that has happened to some of our guys in the last few years, and so you really got to be guarded when it comes to that. But at the same time, you just got to do a good job with your guys. We're going to be, I think in the COVID years, those couple of years there, we're playing with 24-year-olds, and now we're playing with 18 and 19-year-olds because those guys are gone now, right? And so there's going to be some things from a learning curve standpoint, but at the same time, you can flip it. You can, it's again, I do believe. I don't think we're going to have another season like this. I think we're going to be better next year, and we're going to perform better, and hopefully it turns into more wins than losses like this year. But I don't look back on the season and go, God, these guys didn't get it done. I look back over, the entirety of this senior class, and like you said, 4 postseason appearances. That's the way I look at it. 4 straight years in the postseason, a conference championship, second round of the playoffs in 3 of those 4 years. And every one of those, all 21 of those seniors graduated. I mean, that's a heck of an accomplishment. I don't care where you at and where you go. You look back, and for 4 years, there was only 3 teams in the top 25, and it was us and South Dakota State and North Dakota State, and that was it in the entire country. So I think we showed that we can be a consistent team at the top of that and in the top 25. But we really want to go further than that. And at that, that Sanford game still sticks in my craw. But we turned the page on that. And this year we just didn't get the ball, didn't quite bounce our way sometimes. And look, a lot of it had to do with us. And so that's why I said we're looking at a lot of different things over the course of the off season to remedy that situation so we don't go through it again.
Well, one of the things that was real quickly,
ahead,
one of the things that was most impressive to me, and Robbie and I, we've been around here for a lot of bad seasons before you were here, and we saw a lot of teams check out. When it wasn't going well, you lose a few games early, and they just check out midseason. You know what's going to happen every week. And this team, I thought, I mean, right up to the very end, you guys played like you were an 8-3 team at the end instead of 3-8, and the effort never waned. Just from our end, every game was close. You were in it, didn't quite go your way, and you had, it just wasn't the type of year you wanted. But just from an effort standpoint, I think you have to be pleased with that part of it. I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, and I mean, Alan was with us, on the radio show every week. Robbie did it one week, and I never went on there disgusted with our team and the effort that our team gave. That never happened. Our practices were, I mean, we had great practice, not good practices now, great practices, execution, crisp, high effort, high intensity. And when it got to the game time, we still played like that. So we played with the same things that took place. We just made, whether it be a turnover for a touchdown, we had so many of those this year. Things that happened, a big play against us, just stuff. When you look at the Nichols game, we just did such a good job on defense, and then 2 plays accounted for almost 180 yards of offense for them. And it's just that's what's disappointing. Those when you look back and you go how close it was to, like you said, flipping the entire record around. And so we'll look forward. We'll learn from it. We'll look in the windshield instead of the rearview mirror, and then be excited about what's happening up in the future.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Coach, I think the honest thing here for us is, look, when you talk about recruiting and sustaining, I mean, what you did over 4 years is so impressive, and this was a hiccup as we talked about. But let's just be honest, you have no real NIL program. You have maybe something here or there you're trying to do, or you're trying to develop it, but you really don't have anything to work with. That's a hard thing to overcome right now. Just talk about how much more difficult it is for you as a coach to just have that sustainability over time when the portal can pluck away kids that you find and develop. And I mean, I'm not, this is an excuse thing. I'm just asking how much more difficult it is for you guys without an IL program, with that ability for someone else to come in and take your players. Is it for you to sustain that success and not have a bump in the road where you find yourself at 5 and 6 one year just out of the blue because you're trying to redevelop kids?
Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna. I think what you see now is the norm. So we have a player who's really performing at a high level. We're probably going to lose them, right? There, no matter what we pick up in the NIL market, somebody's going to have a bigger number than us. I mean, you're seeing that across the country now. And look, you see Power Five schools complaining about how much money other schools have, including other conferences. And if they want them, they're going to get them. We're not going to be able to keep them. And it's happening across FCS football now. You know, we talked about it earlier with Idaho, you know, losing their player to, you know, the freshman of the year and Giovanni McCoy and some other guys. And it's going to happen. You're going to watch each playoff game. As soon as those playoff games are done and those schools are knocked out, they have a mass exodus to the portal. And you're seeing that. You're going to see it in the bowl games. Everybody's testing the market. They want to test what's out there. The players do. And I don't think anybody's mad at the players. You know, you question the loyalty sometimes, but when a guy has an opportunity to make a bunch of money, you can't, you know, what do you do? Tell him not to do it. We wish him well, wish him good luck, and, you know, help them on their way. And then now we go to the next guy up in our, you know, in our lineup. So I don't think it's something we got to do a great job evaluating the players that we bring in to make sure we have the right person. He's got to be a good player, and but he's got to be the right person to fit in our culture. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think that's what I think our staff does a great job of developing players. We take a lot of freshmen and they're making plays, and it's showing with the number of people that I want to say shop in our team. Yeah, shop in our team. They come in and shop us. And, you know, we're a 3-8 football team and we lose, you know, 4 or 5 guys this year. And so we've got some good young players that we feel like that we're doing a good job developing. And we just got to continue to do that, not get frustrated with the ones that leave, but be excited about the ones that we have.
You talked about yeah, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
No, I was going to say there's a silver lining to everything. And obviously the silver lining is you got a little bit more time to get out and evaluate recruiting. Not being in the playoffs gives you a couple extra weeks, a head start. And how's that going right now? I know we talked a little bit off the air. I think you guys feel pretty good about things right now. How's recruiting going, needs and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think December is going to be a big day for us. December 20th is a signing date next Wednesday. We're hoping to get between 20 and 25 guys signed. I think we're going to get anywhere from 5 to 7 high school midterm enrollees, which is huge. We made a big push for that this year to try to get guys to graduate at midterm so that we get that knowing that we're going to have to play freshmen, right? Because of guys leaving and going into the portal, we're going to have to play more freshmen. Well, you want that extra semester, that maturity of that extra semester, being in school, going to class, going through spring ball, understanding the rigors of college football, then having a summer, then starting fall camp with them already having a semester under the belt. So that's been a big push for us, and we'll continue to do that to try to get those guys in. And then, you know, junior college, we're going to have some guys coming in from junior colleges. That the junior college market has completely changed. You know, it used to be an area where guys who didn't have grades, they went to junior college to get their grades up to qualify to transfer. And now it's because of the transfer portal, it's a lot of kids that really didn't have a place to go play. The good students, good players, but didn't have a place to play. The transfer portal took up those opportunities they had coming out of high school. And there's a better quality student. They're good players, but there's a better quality student right now in the junior colleges, and their coaches are talking about it. And obviously we're finding those guys out too. So I think it's a balance there, but at the same time, you want as many guys as you can coming in for the spring semester. We lost 21 seniors, 5, 6 to the portal. So you're looking at 27 guys that are not on our roster that were there in the fall, and we want to replace them for the spring, as many as we can. And that's what we're looking to do.
You talked about, developing freshmen, having to play freshmen and recruiting freshmen. You just lost Zy Alexander, Jack Henderson, who go off and start at FBS Power 5 programs. You lose,
Yeah.
Bryce Cage, Bauer Sharp this year. You can use that obviously to help you recruit, right? Because hey, you come here, we can get you there. Is that something you can use when you're trying to recruit high school kids?
Well, I think
I
it,
mean,
it speaks for itself, but you
yeah,
don't want to use that,
no, I
right?
know,
You
but
don't say, look, we just want you here for a couple of
no, I
years, and
know,
then
yeah, yeah,
you want to stay away from that. But what you'd like to, they do reference that. Players do. They
I mean,
know
it's yeah,
which schools or guys are leaving from which schools and where they're going, and it's when you look at some of the players that we've gotten, like Jack and Zy and Bryce and Bauer. Nope, they had no other recruiting offers. It wasn't like we had to go beat 20, schools on these guys. They might have had another offer, maybe. Most of them had nothing else but us. So we were able to recognize who they were and the potential that they had, and then we helped develop them. And they put in the work and did everything you needed them to do. But our coaches did a heck of a job evaluating and developing them, and it got them to a place where maybe they wanted to go in the first place, which is fine. Go ahead, and then, like I said, we're going to take the next guy and try to do the same thing with him.
You, I saw this coach, and I don't know if you did. I'm going to pull it up real quick. So give me 1 second. But your team and what you've been able to accomplish here. I don't know if you saw this, but Mark actually sent this to us. Sports Source Analytics put this out. 10 Division I football teams have reached the red zone on 40% of their offensive drives from 2021 to the present, and lineup football was number 1 in the country. Again, that's 10 Division I schools have reached the red zone on 40% of their offensive drives since 2021. It's lineup football followed by Georgia football. Oregon's right there. Michigan. I mean, Ole Miss, Sacred Heart. I mean, just what does that say about what? I mean, you're an offensive guru. You've had success everywhere. Just talk about when something like that is shown how successful you've been. And again, it goes to recruiting, showing kids what you guys have done in the past with offensive success. Just talk about, your offenses over the last 3 or 4 years and what they've meant to you and how good they've been.
Yeah, I think those numbers do. Those are real numbers, right? We don't make them up, and we don't own the company and put them out. They do that, and I think when you look at those things, you're looking at how efficient we have been, and when we're able to move the football. I think our issues this year, we got caught too many times where we had to settle for field goals. We didn't get touchdowns out of getting down there in the red zone, and that cost us. You go back to the Nichols game, last game of the we got to kick field goals the whole time because we got down there but couldn't score touchdowns. But our efficiency the last 4 or 5 years, we have been really good. I mean, I know we've had obviously we had the best player maybe in the history of school in Cole Kelly, and we've had some others, but I think we've had an opportunity to coach some guys and put them in a position to be successful. I think our offensive staff does a whale of a job. Again, it goes back to development, but scheming people up and doing those things. I think defensively we got a lot better. And then what helps us too is our special teams. We've got the best special teams in the conference, and we're getting some short fields sometimes where it doesn't take a long drive for us to get it down there, and that helps out too. So overall, our program's in great shape, which it's not something you look up like there's a problem somewhere. I think people that say things like that are really not. They're I don't know, kind of short-sighted to tell you the truth. Don't understand what's going on, but I think we're in a good position right now to continue to build on that and then continue to grow from there. But what I'd like to do is get our red zone efficiency up, not just getting there, but I want to get in there, right? I want to score touchdowns instead of the field goals.
Coach, on another note, and I wanted to ask your general opinion on this, but we've kind of talked about the NIL stuff and the portal and what's going on. And I'm a guy who loves the bowl season. I've always loved the bowl season. I love watching them, holidays, things like that. But on that note, just your opinion with everything that's been going on. I mean, I think you're about to see a terrible product in bowl season coming up with a number of kids that have transferred, not playing. And also the new thing now is it seemed like in the old days, or I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, teams were firing coaches the Monday after Thanksgiving. Now they're firing them in the season because they want to hire their next coach by that Monday after Thanksgiving to get in that portal and to recruit. So you have teams that don't have coaches, things like that. Is this whole thing kind of, in your opinion, almost like a house of cards? Like it's just becoming so like, is college football on the edge of like really having a major issue that than they already do have, in your opinion?
Well, I think you got to look at it, Robbie, and be honest about the whole thing. It's not a good product once you get to the postseason, except for those 4 teams.
Yeah,
You
I
look back,
agree.
That's right.
yeah, when you look back at what's taken place, and the bowls have such a, how would I say they're so important. And here's why. It's an opportunity for players to continue to have one more game to play, to experience a week of the bowl. The host teams or cities do such a great job, and the charities in those cities benefit greatly from the bowls. That's where the money goes. The majority of the profits go to charities in those bowl games and the things that they're able to do in the communities. And it's so important to have those bowl games for that specific purpose. But the importance of those bowl games, I guess, are out of whack. We're going to look at Florida State and Georgia, and everybody was excited about the matchup. Two teams that could have been in the Final Four, and they're going to play, and nobody's going to play for them. Everybody's jumping in the portal. Do we get the right 2 teams? I don't. If I was a gambler, I'd stay away from all those games. I mean, what do you know? How do you know? How does Vegas know where to set the line? Who the hell is playing? All right. And then if you're a coach, they got teams that are coachless. I don't know who's coaching Tulane in their bowl game. Who's coaching Duke? And I mean, there's going to be there's going to be things like that taking place. And I think I said it before, I'll say it again: the pure, the excitement of FCS playoffs. I didn't know what it was like because I'd never been at this level, but now I've been in it, and there's a finality to it, and it's not something where guys are just saying, "I just want to finish this deal out because I know this is the last game." There's always hope you're going to play one more. And those guys want to come. They want to play that one. Whereas a bowl game means nothing. It counts for nothing. Guys are jumping in the portal. I'm not playing in the bowl. I'm getting ready for the NFL. You don't see that happen in an FCS play. I haven't heard, it might have, but I haven't heard of a player in the FCS playoffs say, you know what, I'm not going to play in the playoffs. I'm going to just go ahead and start preparing for the NFL. I haven't heard that. It might have happened. I'm sure that I've never heard it before, but you see it all the time. You're going to see it, Ohio State and Florida State. You're going to see it in every bowl game. There's somebody there that said, I'm going to get ready for the league and I'm done. I'm not playing college football for fear. And look, it's a business decision. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing.
No, I agree with you.
But it is. It is what it is. And the importance of the bowl games now have been so watered down. I'm looking forward to the expansion of the college football playoffs to 12, even 16 teams. I think that's a great thing. I think those games will mean more. I think the regular season will mean more. All of those things, and depending on how they go about choosing everybody, it's going to create some more conversation. And I don't think you'll see kids with an opportunity to win this whole thing jump out of there and jump in the portal or go say, I'm not playing in the playoffs.
That's great insight, Coach. I think that's spot on too. Mark, wrapping it up with Coach tonight. You can have one more for him.
You talked about playoffs. You had a chance to watch any of it or FCS playoffs?
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on that?
Man. Yeah, I'm sick. I am absolutely sick.
We're not there, right? Yeah.
Excited about, I vote on the the All-American teams, the coaches of the year, some of those awards. I think the guy up at Albany has just really done an unbelievable job. Mark Ferrani did a great job at Villanova. What's his name? South Dakota State has really been, I've taken over a program in 1 year, and I know he had a good team, but still it's a transition. North Dakota State, they were counted out. Here they are. Montana, the Grizz were out, right? Beginning of the year. What's wrong with the Grizz? Everybody's,
almost lost
down
to
on the
D2.
Grizz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here they are. We're rolling again. So I just, to me, I love it. I never watched it before I got here. I wasn't involved in it. I didn't see it. I had too much other stuff going on this time of year. And now you're seeing the purity, the excitement of what's going on. These kids are playing their asses off, and it's just so cool to watch. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope South Dakota State wins this whole thing so that next year we can say the defending national champions are coming to Hammond American. We can pack Strawberry Stadium. So I just think there's some, there's so many good things that are taking place in the future. And with the playoffs right now. It's fun, man. I'm mad because the NCAA is so stupid to put Albany at Idaho at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, that was dumb.
On ESPN Plus. Best game of the playoffs. Yeah.
I can't. It's hard to just qualify how dumb the NCAA is, but they really are. I hope they. I know, Charlie Baker, you need to wake up, man. Come on, y'all need to just see what's going on out there. But so it's. But yeah, I'm watching all the games. I'm driving me nuts, and I'm putting ourselves in those positions and saying we're there, man. We're right there.
Well, especially you beat Idaho last year. A couple of years ago, you beat Villanova. They're playing in the playoffs. You played Montana, so you've been on the field with those programs. A lot of those guys are the same players. Villanova had players left over from that 2019 team, and obviously
they did.
Idaho's several. A few running backs, wide receivers, and so when you see that, and you see Idaho's pretty much the same team as last year, and you just know how close you are. I mean, I think we all see. I think our fans need to realize that.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Like I said, it's fun to watch. It's fun where we've been. We've been there, and you don't take it for granted because it's hard, and it's going to get more difficult. I think I'm not going to say the days of a dynasty that North Dakota State put together is over with, but the loyalty of the player to the university now with the opportunity to go somewhere and pick up some money. I don't know how many of those guys are going to be sticking around for 4 or 5 years if they're really high quality players. If they got a chance to start and play somewhere and put some money in their pocket, I think you're going to see a lot of guys leave. And, so I don't know if those things can continue where you have a run of 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row of winning national championships. Even South Dakota State now, they've got a very veteran ball club. They're going to lose a lot after this season, and I know they got some good young players, but there might be some of those guys jump in the portal too.
No doubt, and I think that the North Dakota State coach is leaving. He just got hired on by Southern Cal, so he's out of here. So
is he coaching the playoff game? Is he going to coach this week?
He jumped in the portal, right?
Coach, finally, I know he's going to
finish season wherever they go. If they win it all or they lose this week, he's going to finish it out before he leaves and goes to Southern Cal.
Coach, finally, I know the new building is on the horizon coming and some more upgrades to the stadium, but I know Dr. Wainwright cleared up some stuff for you guys to do some work to the current locker room. How's that coming? And that's got to be exciting to see that being worked on in the off season.
Yeah, it's a mess around the Dugas Center right now, but it's like the pardon my progress stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're taking recruits through there right now. We're saying, look, we're not just telling you this and go put a shovel out there on the ground and say it's going to happen. It's happening. And I know it's a mess right now, but it's happening. So right now they're in the construction and I guess remodeling phase upstairs on the second floor. Administration will move up there. Then they'll move down right at the beginning of the year. They should finish that this month. Move downstairs at the beginning of the year and redo all of those offices and meeting rooms, things like that. And then football will take over the entire first floor of the Dugout, which gives us some of the space that we've been, really needing. And that's huge. And I can't thank Dr. Wainwright enough. Jay has done an excellent job getting organized in this thing and putting it all together. And our people on campus have done a great job of getting it done, moving not at a snail's pace. They're really doing a good job of getting things done. So I think phase 1 was the baseball. Phase 2 is second floor. Phase 3 is all the football areas. And then now we building the stadium, which they think should be getting started here sometime during the fall semester, start breaking some ground up there. But we are improving and it's showing, things are getting done around there. So happy about that. I promise you. It was lipstick on a pig was what it was. And the pig is losing some weight, and we're getting a little more eye makeup and
hair.
So, yeah, I'm happy about that.
Awesome,
we all
Coach.
are.
Well, awesome, Coach. Spring practice will be here before we know it. Recruiting will be wrapping up. I'm sure fans will see it at some baseball games at Alumni Field this spring and the UC in January and February to watch Coach Kiefer and Coach Ayla. So thanks a lot for making some time with us. We really appreciate it, and get you back on maybe after spring practice, talk about how that went. Look forward to 2024. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, the spring ball is going to go from February 19th to March 23rd. So we always put it in between the Mardi Gras break and spring break. so we won't split it up. So that'll be taking place during that time. And, Merry Christmas to all of y'all.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you,
Absolutely.
Coach. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's enjoy the holiday season.
Absolutely. That's Head Coach Frank Scelfo, our guest this week, brought to you by Gateway Ford. We will take a break, and we'll come back more after this.
Don't go anywhere yet. We got to talk off the air here. Hang on.
All right, thanks a lot. We thank Coach Frank Scelfo, the head football coach of your Southeastern Lions, for spending some time with us, talking about all things recruiting, line football, kind of a cap on the 2023 season. We appreciate Coach coming on. He's your Gateway Ford guest for this week. And, Mark, I think that I'm excited to hear. I mean, look, I'm excited to hear about what he was talking about at the end of the renovations to the Dugas Center that's going to happen this year. Obviously, the new building that's going to come in the future is going to be state of the art and, into the stadium and all those good things. That's coming down the road. But this was money freed up to make the current building a better situation because, just little thing. I just go in the squad room for post-game interviews and things like that over the last couple of years. That needed a facelift tremendously, and so it sounds like that'll be redone. And baseball is totally out of the building now, so I think it's just going to be soccer and football that will be in the Dugas at this point. I know. I think tennis has an office in there in men's golf, but they're not actually hosting players in the locker room setting. So football kind of has full reign now. I mean, soccer, no offense, but they don't have as much. They don't require as much space in the football program. So the Dugas Center now is totally given to football, and they'll have the ability to do with it as they like. So I'm excited to see what that looks like on the inside of that building when that's all wrapped up before next season.
Well, if you remember, he mentioned the entire lower floor turned over to football, and so there's a lot of square footage there that right now they're basically the locker rooms pushed back in that back corner and in the coach's office into the far right corner. Now it expands out through the entire lower floor, so that's going to be some much needed square footage to renovate the locker room, get it up to standard, and just that alone is going to be a huge upgrade for this football team. And then when you think about getting into potentially a new building in the next, I don't know when it's going to break ground or
just say 2 years.
But let's say it's 2-3 years, whatever it is. At least you have something, to hang your hat on, to sell recruits, and to make life comfortable for your players. And that's what it's all about. And again, it's creature comforts for your football team. And, especially in today's world, even 30 years ago, it was probably bare bones, and now with all the advances and all the money being spent, even in the FCS, it's finally good to get some renovations there in the Dugas Center, and it's going to be very, very much welcome.
I know, Mark, we talked about this for years. It used to be facilities are what the biggest part of recruiting is, for these players. Now it's second fiddle to NIL, and look, I mean, here's a real deal. May not be the big, and Coach ain't going to say this, and he shouldn't have to. I'll say it. It may not be affecting us this year, but I'm telling you, folks, if and I'll do what I can. I don't have all the means, but if we don't get some kind of an NIL program here within the next 5 years, we're going to have a hard time, because I think there's everybody, so many teams are doing it now that that you hear about on the news. Oh, this team's, and Coach talked about, this team's paying this person this amount of money, and it's mostly the big schools and the Power Five and the Group of Five to some degree, but it's happening in the FCS too. And I think in the next 5 years, there's people that are going to be able to find the means to do it that haven't yet are going to do that, and there's going to be people that are going to be totally left behind and aren't doing it at all, and we just don't want to be in that group.
I think the biggest thing we've got to address maybe before that's cost of attendance. I think that's one of the biggest things that
explain what that is too for the people.
Well, cost of attendance is basically right now prior to the passage of the cost of attendance rule, you could basically offer a scholarship. That's academic money, what your actual scholarship costs, books, fees, and then room and board. Now it's total cost of attendance. So what does it cost when mom and dad send little junior away to college, what does it cost them to attend college, going out to eat, just typical living in a college environment, college atmosphere.
Cost of living. Yep.
Cost of living basically is what it is. Cost of attendance to go to school, and I think each school, I'm not sure how that's calculated. I know every school's different. I think each league's different, maybe, but I don't know the exact rule. But it's above and beyond the scholarship. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough to sway whether you sign a player, or X school signs a player, or B school signs a player. So I think if we get the cost of attendance, that would go a long way into helping in recruiting. And then NIL, we're never gonna. I mean, we just don't have the industry and the business and the uh, to develop a big NIL program. I don't think. It takes a lot of heavy hitter donors to step up, and maybe you get something that can be a little bit of money in the pocket of some players. But I don't think we're ever going to be heavy players in NIL. But cost of attendance is something we can do, and we're FCS for a reason. And unfortunately, we're not. Again, unless things change, who knows what's going to happen on the horizon? In the next 20, 30 years, but. In the short term, it's just hard for me to see, Southeastern being a huge NIL player at this point.
Yeah, and that's just the reality of it. But you got to find a way to do something, I think, in the next 4 to 5 years, whether it be cost of attendance or something
Well,
small.
it's going to take some leadership, obviously, and I will say that I was going to mention that previously when you were talking about getting the Dugas renovated. We have the correct leadership, the right leadership in place. Dr. Wainwright, Frank Scelfo. I think we've got the leadership in the football program and the athletic program, J.R. Teagues, and obviously Dr. Wainwright. I think everybody's on the same page and understand what it takes to get this program to the next level. And it's going to take that leadership, bringing in all the former players, all of the alumni who have moved on and are making some money now, and trying to pull those resources together to do what we can. Again, I don't know how much that is. I mean, it's something that's got to be developed.
Mark, talking the FCS playoffs, we had some great games this past Saturday. If you stayed up late like I know I did, I don't know if you did. Did you stay up, Mark, Saturday
I
night?
did. I
1:30 in the morning. Well, but more actually like 12:30 in the morning. Albany with a great win over Idaho. Um, I guess the only real dominant game was the Saturday afternoon game. North Dakota State kind of roughed up South Dakota. I mean, South Dakota had a great season. They're the number 3 overall
Well,
national seed, and they're like, oh my gosh, the quarterfinals, and we
yeah.
get these guys. These
And
the
they beat
Bison come in.
and they beat the Bison in the
They
regular
beat
season.
him
So you
in a
saw
close
that coming.
game, and
Yeah.
yeah, you saw that coming, absolutely. But this weekend, Mark, you got about as good a blue blood game as you possibly could get. I go back to 2021. There were some blue blood games that year in back-to-back weeks. The Lions lost to James Madison, but then James Madison in the quarters welcomed in at Montana to JMU, and then they went right to North Dakota State for the semis. Those were some great games. But this weekend, the Bison are heading to Griswold to Missoula to play the Montana Grizzlies. That's going to be about as blue blood as there is in FCS, Mark. And I think Montana is trying to get back to the national championship for the first time. And I know that the last time they won it was what, in 03?
Trying to think, did they play? It's been a while. It's been a while since they've won it, and I have to go off memory. I should have pulled that up, but it's been a while since they played for a national championship, and um, they're
They got
tough to beat at home. Yeah, but
yeah.
you got obviously the bluest of the blue bloods in North Dakota State coming in to play.
Lost
But
their coach though.
their head coach is moving on to USC. He'll coach the game, but that's
Yeah.
got to be at least somewhat of a distraction, I would think, this week. Could be a motivator. Obviously, they were well motivated this past weekend, and and again, North Dakota State won so many championships. They lose 3 regular season games this year, and folks
Here they
kind of
are.
count them out. But here they are, and you got to think that second win, now they're playing for a championship. You'll see them turn it up a notch, and they have. And I like Montana in this game just from a physical standpoint. I think they probably got a little bit better football team than North Dakota has, but it's just hard to pick against the Bison. I don't care where they're playing this game. It's just, especially with the coach leaving, I got a feeling they're going to go in there and steal one against a good Montana football team by every rights has a chance to win a national championship. I think they're good enough to. I think they're good enough to beat North Dakota State and South Dakota State, but may not get there. It's going to be a tough game.
The rumors are that North Dakota State might go after Montana State's head coach. I don't know if you've heard that, Mark. If that's
Brent
something.
Vegan. Yeah, he was at North Dakota State, so that would make sense. I think there'd be a revolt among the players if Tyler Rell's not named the head coach. He's a former fullback there, played back in the late 2000s. Very good player, very popular member of their staff. So I do think he's the popular choice, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then the darling, I guess, the Albany Great Danes, University of Albany, SUNY Albany, is going to be going to play against the defending champion South Dakota State Jackrabbits. I mean, look, Albany got home at I think 7 a.m. local time on Saturday night.
Disclaimer: one of Bob's alma maters.
Yeah, my dad went to Albany, played baseball there.
Yeah.
For the Danes, and back in the D3 world, and they were, I think them and Buffalo were the only two SUNY schools that have made the jump to Division I athletics. Most of the SUNYs are still D3. In fact, Cortland,
and Stony Brook eventually did, but
yeah, you're right. Yep, that's right. I'm sorry. SUNY Cortland is going to play for the D3 national championship in football this weekend. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. To see that for a school like that. I mean, they kind of made that move to the CAA, which I think has helped them a lot, Mark, don't you think, from their previous league? What league were they in before?
Well, they were in the Northeast Conference with Central Connecticut. And no question, conference affiliation has elevated their status nationally. And I love their program. I know they've had a couple bad years. I know we talked about it with Frank earlier. Seeing a team like that, go from 3-8 to 8-3 or 9-2 and a top 5 seed and still playing in the semifinals. But, they're built for this kind of year. They're really good up front. Their defensive ends, they have two of the best defensive ends in the country. I love their quarterback, Poffenbarger, who was freshman All-American last year, just a playmaker. And they've got good underrated skill guys. And
probably going to go in the portal at the end of the year.
Yeah, probably will. But they just have a great, I love Greg Cattuso, their head coach. He's a player's coach, but a tough, hard-nosed guy who obviously has the respect of his team and has been there a while. And he's been around college football for a long time. Kind of reminds me of Frank Scelfo, honestly. Very similar, type. Different personalities, but just the leadership. Players, coaches that, but very stern, and get a lot out of their teams.
Well, they're recruiting well. They got these players. Kirsch for Florida State is, transferred in this year.
Jared Verse, Verse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he
played at Albany.
Played at Albany. So I mean, they're recruiting well up there. The CAA obviously is helping them get to play with New Hampshire, Maine, Villanova, all these teams that have Towson, great history in FCS football. And they're getting to be in those leagues.
You know that part of the world, Robbie. I know that's where you're from originally. Your family's from, and that upper, there's so many people up there. First of all, and there's so many football players that go under recruited, and Albany can get into Canada. They have some Canadians that play like Canadian football, and they come south, and a couple of their offensive linemen are Canadian, and they're just able to find those.
I mean, the state of New York, tips Northeastern Ohio too. A lot of great football in the state of Ohio, which is Albany's on the northeast corner of the state. It's a long way to Erie, Pennsylvania from Albany, but there's great football up there. It's different. It's different football than you see down here. But when you go to the Carrier Dome in December, I don't think it's Carrier Dome anymore. It's something else. But for those state championships, they play 5 or 6 games, and they do different classifications. So there's state championships in New York for the northern part of the state, and then the northern teams don't play the teams out of the city. It's two different state championships because there's so many people and so many schools. But I mean, a school, but you've seen that, right? You've seen teams like Maine, like Albany, like New Hampshire continue to have these players, and you think to yourself, how in the heck is a kid how do they find these kids in New Hampshire that are so good, people just think about high school football in Louisiana, the great players that play here, but you take that for granted. But there's just so many people that run that East Coast, um, and there's just more people than I mean, there's a lot of people that live in the state of New Jersey,
Well,
and
high school, high school football in the state of Texas is more popular. In the South in general, it's more popular. It's glitzier, it's more glamorous. You've probably
Texas
got
just looks
better.
pretty because of the money they had. To
Well,
me,
that's
I mean,
exactly it. But when you get up in the Northeast, it's almost like it's just the volume of schools that play football, and it's not necessarily great programs. It's just there's a player here, a player there, a player here, and they're a little bit under
yeah,
recruited, a little bit undersized, and they're not recruited, and nobody's going and sitting in Albany or upstate New York to recruit players. Nobody's sitting in Canada to recruit players. Not maybe they used to sit in Pennsylvania, but not the way they used to. Everybody's coming south. They're going to Dallas, going to Houston, going to Miami, New Orleans, Atlanta, the big metro areas in the South now, out in California, out on the West Coast. And, I think there's just some pockets of football players that are untapped. They're able to find those guys. It's the same thing at North Dakota State and South Dakota
yeah.
State. There's so
I
many
mean,
good players that are under recruited.
those are hard-nosed people up there. I mean, those are descendants of like factory workers, which is man, that's a great profession. I'm saying they're tough kids. They're tough kids. They grew up in knowing tough family life, knowing what it takes to really succeed in life, and that'll carry on. I mean, not saying people down here don't do that, but I'm just saying like it's a mentality that people have up there,
And let's face it, there's an abundance of, you know, kids that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". I mean, it's just from a demographic standpoint, and so the hard part finding players to play on the line of scrimmage.
yeah,
It's just easier to find those guys. And you come down here, if you got a kid that's 6'3" and 265, 270 and athletic, I mean, he's got 10 scholarship offers before he gets off the bus, and up there, those kids go under recruited. So, that's kind of
yeah. I
the
mean,
difference.
yeah. I mean, how many schools are playing within a 200-mile radius of us in Hammond? Group of five. I mean, there's
Well, you got
dozens.
Tulane, Southern Miss, LSU,
LSU.
Troy's
I'd
not
say,
far. I mean, Jacksonville
yeah. I
State's
mean,
not far. I mean, I mean, that's just
South Alabama.
South Alabama. That's
They're
FBS schools. Yeah,
yeah,
Memphis,
they're all over the place. Up there it's just, I mean, in the state of New York, you have uh Syracuse that's
Syracuse,
playing.
Buffalo, and
Yeah, Syracuse and Buffalo, the only two playing FBS football in the whole state of New York.
UConn, which is nearby. But
I mean, that's yeah,
yeah,
and and I think in New York there's only one FCS school, and that's Albany. And so there's a lot of people up there. There's those kids,
and
and
Stony
those
Brook.
it's Stony Brook. Sorry, I forget about that. Long Island people, but
They don't count.
they don't count. But it's like there's not as much to poach. And I mean, video gets out. I get it. People can scout and recruit everybody, but like, if a kid's from, uh, if a kid is from, I don't know, if a kid's from Appalachia, New York, and he's a good football player, and he got recruited by Albany, goes to Albany, plays in Albany, and he really does well. It's harder, I think, to get that kid to say, "Hey, you want to come down here to Middle Tennessee State and play football?" It's just that doesn't seem that far from a kid in Hammond to me to go up to play in Murfreesboro. But if you're up there in Albany, that seems like an eternity from here, to go down there and play. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or
Well,
not, but there's just so many more eyeballs down
the
here to
culture is
see kids.
different too. I mean, the culture, you got to realize we grow up. I mean, we live in the deep South. I mean, it's religion. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon, it's SEC. It's big time college football. It's huge here. It's not as big up there. It really isn't. I mean,
No,
football's
yeah.
big, but college football is pro football. Pro football it carries a lot more weight in the Northeast, in that part of the world, than it does
Major League Baseball. I mean,
MLB. Yeah, it's MLB and NFL. So you look at, there are guys from Villanova and NFL, or they say, hey,
yeah,
let's go play college football, and the SEC, the lure of it isn't as big as it is here.
right.
So I think that's part of it too. And but again, you see a team like Albany, is kind of where we started this. Just a fun team to watch. And, you know, they have an uphill climb going into South Dakota State, no question. And, you know, South Dakota State's probably historically good, you know, as far as a program. But, you know, I wouldn't count out Mr. Coach Gattuso and the Albany Danes, though.
Yeah, give them a shot. It's going to be the Friday night game. That's going to be on ESPN2. So check that out Friday night, Saturday. I know there's like 7 bowl games, but those teams are just playing an exhibition game. And nothing against the bowls, those are exhibitions. You want to watch the game where teams playing for the championship, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. The Bison and the Grizzlies from Montana. It's going to be an awesome game, and I'm excited to watch. It's going to be on ESPN2 as well. So check those out over the weekend. We'll see how they go. We'll continue to do the pod a little bit here and there through the holidays. We'll start covering more men's hoops, women's hoops as they get going, and we'll start looking ahead to baseball in the new year in 2024, which will be on the horizon. Get Coach Bobby on here, talk about it. We'll get softball on here to talk about their upcoming seasons, and we'll have a whole lot more as we go along. So thanks for being with us. It's been fun with Coach Scelfo tonight. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. Thanks for watching the Lineup Sports Network pod. We will talk to you soon.
Peace in the lineup.